Hey guys, Cow here, bringing you another video. This one is going to be a new type of video. This one is going to be kind of looking over these balance changes. One of my probably subscribers left a comment on my video saying that there was a sneaky Goblin nerf, and I decided to check out these patch note changes and give my initial thoughts. I did a quick overview a little bit. It looks like we have a wall nerf. Wall nerf, I don't really care too much about. I don't think it's going to change anything. Just because walls are kind of irrelevant because of earthquake, a lot of air attack strategy, hog riders, a lot of things that are strong right now don't care about walls. And them getting a little bit of a nerf actually makes it so that we can break through a little bit quicker, but overall I don't think it's that big of a change. We have Archer Tower nerf, which is 2 damage per second. Nerfing something that is targeting air, even though air is really strong, is a bit confusing to me, but we'll take the nerf any day of the week, make us a bit stronger on offense. We have an Expo DPS Nerf. This one makes a little bit more sense to me just because of how powerful ground expos are. But again, we're hitting another defense when offense is apparently a little too strong right now, which is also a little bit confusing. Another one is Inferno Tower. It seems like it is single tower, the singles are getting nerfed with their DPS again, but this one doesn't seem very relevant. The difference, maybe your king will survive a little bit longer. Don't need to be as precise when hitting that king ability to make sure that he gets out, give him a little bit more time, which is all great. Traps, red air bombs, I think is a good place. We're getting a buff here. With balloons being very susceptible, we have a lot of like those core trap bases. If you watch a lot of CWL, where we have bases that have a lot of red mines in the middle to kind of lure lava hounds around, so when the balloons go into the middle, they get hit really hard. I think this will make it so those traps actually work a little bit better. It's going to be great at all levels of play where lava loon is really popular. And if you have good base building habits, you'll be able to get a lot of value out of this, I think. So always welcomed. We have a Mortar HP Buff. I wonder how that's going to interact, if we're going to need another balloon. I do like that we're buffing the mortar. The mortar has now a place in the meta only because of Flame Flinger, but a place in the meta because of Flame Flinger is still a place in the meta. Just because the mortar can contest the Flame Flinger, so now we have to consider where we put our mortars. More HP means we'll need to expend more troops in order to get those better funnels taken care of. So no DPS. HP is kind of where it's at. You don't really want to buff the mortar's DPS too much, just because you don't want it to kind of one-shot like wizards or something that it doesn't really deserve to get one-shotted. It's not really meant to be a lot of DPS. It's kind of just to stop the swarmies, which it already does. It does a ton of damage to barbarians, it does a ton of damage to skeletons. So the HP buff is much better than a DPS buff. Eagle Artillery is now consistent, 200 all levels. I don't know, I never really paid attention to the Eagle Artillery, but this might be better. I don't know if this is a buff or a nerf. But back in the day, when you would do hit attacks where you'd hit up, you would have to count troop space to activate the eagle, because the eagle is so powerful when you're trying to get 2 stars when you're lower town hall. But because sneaky goblins are so broken, this doesn't really matter, I don't think, in the long run. So but if we need more space to trigger it, that's great for like people that are doing queen walks, and things that have a small beginning phase. Not activating the eagle as quickly is beneficial for them, unless this is a nerf and it's actually activating earlier. Then it's going to contest some of those like warden walk, queen walk type of attacks where we're really trying to get around the eagle by not placing a lot of troops. Now we're into the troops. P.E.K.K.A. HP Buff. Okay, P.E.K.K.A. HP Buff. P.E.K.K.A. Smash has kind of fallen off, I believe, in replacement of the Super Bowler, so giving them a little bit of love is great. P.E.K.K.A.'s Great troop. Everyone loves P.E.K.K.A. And I don't think we've seen too much ground strategies. It's mostly been air, so any buff to the ground strategies might bring them back. We might be seeing some more smash attacks in the future, which isn't great for me because I'm not good at smash attacks, but if it is meta, I will learn it, and that's just how you have to go with it. Sneaky Goblin, we have a nerf, DPS nerf. Okay, so if it was like an HP nerf, it didn't really matter. DPS, 20 DPS per second could be significant enough, honestly. For mass Sneaky Goblin attacks, farming wise, doesn't really matter. We'll see if we'll need more than one. It's going to be a big hit if we need 2 Sneaky Goblins per collector. But if we still only need the one, it's not really going to matter. We have plenty of Sneaky Goblins after every raid. It might be harder to get a 50% now with just Sneaky Goblins, but usually if you have heroes and you're really using your troops effectively, we have so much percent. We even get in the high 80s sometimes. So being able to 2-star relatively consistently is not going to be affected by this DPS. It's the only thing that's going to matter is if we have to use twice as many goblins on collectors, because even an additional Sneaky Goblin is going to mean a lot, because that's 2 Sneaky Goblins rather than 1. It makes sense. Sneaky Goblins were a bit too good at funneling, honestly. The fact that you could bring 3 Sneaky Goblins instead of 1 baby dragon and still have a space left over, and you can funnel 3 buildings where the baby dragon would probably only get 1 or 2, is very, like, the Sneaky Goblin was very powerful. So DPS nerf, I think, is where it needed to be. If they were going to nerf it, I am a little bit surprised though, because it wasn't super dominating. It just helps people farm faster, but it was by far the most dominant farming strategy, so maybe they want to make it a bit easier for other people to not get wiped out by Sneaky Goblins. So moving on to the next one, Giant. Giants are obsolete right now. New DPS. I don't think the DPS is what was holding them back. I think they just died too quick. So we'll see that. We'll see if Giants do anything, because I know some people put Giants in their composition for, like, let's say Hog, Mass Hog, maybe even Hybrid, to tank the first beginning part of the raid. It's not meant for their DPS. So if we saw an HP buff, maybe we would see more tank Giants, but I don't think DPS is really going to matter, unless it affects the Super Giants. I know Super Giants can be a good attack, so maybe that DPS there would help, but I think this is specifically to Giants. Flame Flinger, reduced direct hit radius. Flame Flinger, very powerful, probably the best siege machine we have right now. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it is, because of how much value you can get and how you have to build your base to at least consider the threat of a Flame Flinger, have at least good mortar placements, have good Expo placements, because if you don't, Flame Flinger is just going to run through your base. And I guess making it so that it doesn't completely run through your base as quickly is better. We know that it is a DPS nerf, a pretty significant nerf. 60 DPS, that's a lot. Mostly probably to take out things slower, make it so you don't get as much, because like the Flame Flinger lives the whole raid if you do it correct. So making it so that it doesn't take things out as quickly to kind of slow it down, maybe have some more time fails, makes more sense there. Super Wall Breaker, change HP adjusted for the walls. As long as it's one-shotting wall, it doesn't matter. If they nerfed it so that it has to get the full hit off, that would be a big game changer, but it looks like that will not be the case. Bowler, another ground troop, HP buff. We love ground troops. We want the meta to have more ground armies. This is a great addition. Bowlers don't see any play. Actually, they do see play, but very little. Scatter shot really hurt them with just and all the splash. So having more HP so that they can maybe live, let's say, a bomb and a scatter shot, just like something to give them a little bit more so that they're living and we can have healers behind them, is a welcomed buff. Valkyrie buff, like everything, Valkyrie is kind of obsolete, not a very good troop. Everyone talks about how the Valkyrie needs a rework rather than some nerf buff to its stats. We only have 100 HP buff. I don't think it's going to matter. because of how much splash there is. Splash is a really big dictator, because like you could have 100 more HP, but if you have a ton of Valkyries, for every Valkyrie, the splash damage is doing more damage over time, if that makes sense. So I'll just do a little quick rundown of what that means. So if you have a scatter shot, right, and you have 3 giants, the scatter shot, when it hits the giants, is doing 3 times damage it would usually do, because it's hitting each giant individually. Whereas if it's hitting a golem, it's doing its normal damage because there's only one target. So if we have a bunch of Valkyries, the splash damage is just doing more damage, that means. And unless you have really good healing, that's not going to be doing that much. So we'll hopefully see some Valkyrie attacks, but really they're too fast. They don't tank well. They're in the front line. Very not well designed things, especially now with all the chain lightning stuff. People are spacing out their bases, making it so that the one thing Valkyrie is supposed to do well is not doing. It's harder for that one thing to be done. It is good if you have one running around in your kill squad to get rid of skeletons, and maybe having that little HP buff means that it'll survive long enough to get most of the skeletons. So maybe we'll see a tech Valkyrie here and there now. But moving on, Super Valkyrie also got a buff. HP, a lot of stuff. So attack speed changed from, so I think it's a faster attack speed, which is great. We always want faster attacks, because faster attacks means that you can take things down quicker. Movement speed decreased. Okay, slowed down. A lot of ground troops are slow, so actually a nerf to the speed might be a buff overall, so that your P.E.K.K.A.s and Super Bowlers can maybe stick with them. Radius, yeah, rage spell increase is great also. I always thought that the rage spell was a little bit too small. Buffing it so it's a bit bigger is always going to be welcomed. Maybe you'll be able to hit healers and really make sure that you can push through. So clone spell buff. I don't think the clone spell buff matters. It matters a lot at level 1 and level 3. 5 is that magic number, just because when you go from 18 to 22, you are now able to clone another balloon. So 5 is always that number, magic number, if it's an interval of 5. So only one of those really hit, 2 of those hit that. 24 to 26 doesn't seem like a lot, but we do hit that 25 threshold. So that's a pretty big buff for level 1 and level 3. I don't know what Town Hall max level is 3 at, but for that Town Hall, that's a pretty big buff, I think. Heal spell, Siege Cart are immune to heal spell. I think this is for Clan Capital, because I think that's the Siege Cart. It's a little cannon cart, and people could heal it, and it would stay alive forever. Yeah, that makes sense. It's fine. Or increase the speed that the cart dies at could be a better workaround there. Maybe have it be like an Inferno Tower, that the longer it stays alive, the faster it dies. But it doesn't really matter. I think if the siege cart gets taken down, it gets taken down. It's probably not getting much value from itself anyways. So skeleton spawn count buff. So skeleton spell, always great. Yeah. Skeleton spell being buffed, we have Skeledonut. It's a real strategy. Might not have wanted to buff it actually, because of the Inferno Dragon attack being very powerful. I think this will only make it more powerful, have a little bit more tanking. But it is, of course, just one skeleton. But they've been buffing these things like one troop at a time. So eventually we'll have a tipping point where it's too many skeletons. But I don't think we've hit that yet. Yeah. That's going to be the end of this current balance patch. I'm pretty positive. I think this was pretty much what the community wanted. No, I missed some of these Clan Capital things. But Clan Capital raid medals is now correctly enforced. Raid medals above cap are converted to gems. Okay. That's cool. We get free gems now. So I think that's a pretty cool buff. I think I'll be spending mine regardless. Probably on the main account, Town Hall 14, where we don't have anything else to do with it. That is a great alternative for us. So Hope you guys did enjoy this video. It was a long video because I had to do a lot of reading and analyzing, but those are my gut responses. Let me know if they're the same as yours or if they're incorrect and wrong. I would like to know if I'm correct or wrong. It's a great time to have a little bit of discussion here. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and I can do more of these because it's just reacting. So hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.